So welcome to the Las Vegas IT podcast. And today I actually have the pleasure to speak with Ryan Chipchase. He's in the IT industry, and today we're going to learn a little bit more about Ryan. How are you doing today, Ryan?
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yes, I'm super excited. I know we've been talking through Sales Navigator for quite a while now, so I'm super excited to get to know you a little bit better and learn exactly what is it that you do. So what do you do, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently I am an IT manager for two local companies out here in Las Vegas. My ultimate responsibility is essentially anything technology related. That's hardware, software, the security aspect, building servers, and also working with architects anytime that we are building new facilities.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And then how long have you been in this industry, Ryan?
I've been in the industry for about 10 years.
10 years. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes within those last 10 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how did you get into this industry?
So it's kind of funny. This was not my initial degree path. Because I've been out in Las Vegas for so long, I started my educational journey at CSN. And after the first semester, my initial degree program was, well, canceled. So I had to kind of think of, okay, what am I passionate about where I can still help people? Because my initial degree was emergency management. So I thought about it for a while, and I came to the determination that I've always loved computers. I help people when I can, and because the march technology never ends, it made the logical jump in my brain to chase this down for more formal education.
Got it. And I also went to CSN, so that's awesome to hear.
Hey,
Yeah, CSN.
yeah, still parody.
Yeah, so that's so awesome. And what as an IT professional, like what does a typical day look for you in your current role?
Great question. So my typical day in my current role is multifaceted. Really, when I come in, I want to make sure that our company is ready for the day. So following up on any outstanding issues, basically doing health checks across the company, are our computers working, are VPNs functional, and really starting my day through communication with leadership teams, staff, and whatnot.
Got it. Now that does make sense. And so when what are some of the, with technology like AI, what has there been a big shift with what you're currently doing or like what you did in the past, would you say?
Great question. So with the emergence of AI is really becoming everywhere. Perfect example, I was at Lowe's the other day looking at appliances, and their washers, their dryers are all AI capable, which is really cool in some aspects. But back to your question, as far as my day-to-day, nothing has changed as of yet. I do leverage AI as far as research is concerned. So if I'm looking for something a little bit more specific, or if I have a couple of different ideas I just need to kind of wrap my head around, then I might actually reach out to a ChatGPT or a Claude or even Perplexity to try to help me bridge my own knowledge gap.
Got it. And with, speaking about AI, is that the way I guess you're doing research to kind of stay ahead of the market with technology?
Ye- Yes, absolutely. AI is not going anywhere. If anything, it will increase as the years go on. So as far as what I'm doing personally, I do a lot of research on my own, and I actually recently just started a company with my own childhood friend, leveraging AI and trying to really identify those business case uses, primarily for small and medium business. Just because the entry to AI, not only from a resource standpoint, but even having the correct staff and that institutional knowledge in place is such a high burden on small and medium businesses. I have yet to come across an example where there is, like, let's say, a local business really able to fully leverage AI to its capabilities at this time.
Got it. Understood. And then when it comes to, we talked about AI, are there any other current trends that you're currently like very excited about?
Yes, there are a few trends actually. And Salesforce, for example, a well-known worldwide CRM, customer relationship management platform, they just introduced something called Agentforce. And it's really the integration of AI. So trying to leverage LLMs, large language models such as ChatGPT, and integrating them within their ecosystem. I believe HubSpot also does something similar. I don't think they're as far down their pipeline as Salesforce, But what I'm really getting excited for is the ability to use these so-called AI agents, even if it is vendor agnostic, maybe not Salesforce or HubSpot, but really almost a standalone product. And being able to integrate that with various systems, I really feel is key.
Got it. And that does it's awesome. I've used both of those platforms before. So exciting to see some of the things that they're going to do just with AI. And I know one of the things that you did mention to me before we had this interview, AI agents. Could you
Yeah.
just explain to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, depending on who you talk to, the term or the phrase AI agent might give you a slightly different answer as far as the personal interpretation. From my standpoint, though, an AI agent is taking a large language model, an LLM, such as ChatGPT, Claude, and really giving it tools to external systems for integration. I believe ChatGPT just recently released a newer version of where it's now starting to be able to reach out to different systems. At the end of the day, I really think that's where the power of that is going to be, of taking an agent, not only giving it the ability of an LLM or the ability of having some sort of general intelligence, but coupling it with tools such as I want to update a record in Salesforce, or my AI agent just finished doing company research on potential client or prospect. How does that information feed into the platform, and what can the agent do in that regard? As far as AI agents as a whole, I feel over time, individual agents will then become AI teams, really led by an orchestration agent trying to tie everything together.
Got it. And then you did mention you've used the word a few times, and just for our audience, it is a word honestly I haven't even heard before, but you said LM. Is that a like what does that mean?
Great question. So LLM stands for large language model. That's more or less the technical term for ChatGPT, a Claude, because that's really where the power is. It's able to take all these words, all these phrases, vectorize them into a database, and that's where it can really start making those inferred judgments and leaps of logical thinking.
Got it. So it's more of like the code
In a way,
towards
yes, it's basically its way to understand the world from its perspective.
got it. And so, you did, speaking about AI agents, like what are some of the primary functions that, a business would use an AI agent?
Great question. So this technology is still so new. Case uses are still being parsed out. From what I've been able to use it for is research. So kind of going back to the HubSpot example of a CRM, I can have an AI agent look for an individual, their company, their industry, what they do for a living, and even go into LinkedIn and try to find some additional information on them. Oh, did they go to school here? What is the relevant job experience necessary for us to know or the AI agent to know to really get to that next step of the actual reach out and saying hello and starting that conversation.
So you would say it's more of kind of like assisting you with qualifying the customer.
For right now, yes, but this technology is so new. I can see the application of this as time goes on and as technology evolves to really be everywhere and anywhere, almost a artificial general intelligence or AGI.
Got it. So exciting, very, very exciting things that are currently heading out to us. And so, what are some of the challenges do businesses will face with AI agents being used to solve complex problems in real world business scenarios?
Talking from personal experience, the biggest challenge right now is keeping the agents on task. And I like to equate it as herding cats. Sometimes they'll get a mind of their own. Sometimes you will give it a prompt or input, and then the output will not have anything to do with what you actually asked it to. And I'm not sure if that's still a function of this nascent technology. I feel that as time evolves, that will get better. But really, the challenges are one, keeping it on task. Two, integrating it with any current platforms or any current infrastructure. And that could definitely be a challenge. And then really maximizing the ability of the AI agent. I don't see a time as far as right now within the next couple of years to where an AI agent can fully take on the role of, let's say, a business development representative or BDR. I At some point, maybe. If anything, right now though, it's really more augmentation. So I think of the BDR, the business development representative, cold calls, trying to find prospects, qualifying leads, things of that nature. A lot of that can be resource intensive. That's research. Maybe they got the wrong name, spelled it wrong, whatever the case may be. But a BDR also needs to generate revenue for the company. So if you can take an AI agent or an AI team orchestrated by another agent and offload those tedious tasks to where that BDR is now, when they get ready to make that phone call or reach out with that email, they already know who they're talking to, potential pain points, what that industry looks like. Instead of them going in cold, they have a better idea and a deeper understanding of who they're trying to reach out to ultimately try to gain more revenue for their company.
And would you say AI agents are for all sizes when it comes to business, or do you feel like it's more for a bigger, larger business? Like, who is AI agents for?
Great question. As of right now, it feels like it's really more enterprise. Going back to our previous point of our conversation of resources, AI is not cheap, especially if you need that in-house knowledge. You need staff. Unfortunately, you can't just pick up a data scientist off the side of the road and say, "Hey, welcome aboard." These things take time. So really, that point of entry right now, as far as I feel, is really enterprise. What I want to do, along with my partner, I'm sure everyone else wants to do, at some point, really driving down that initial cost to where small and medium businesses, local businesses, can really take full advantage of this new technology and not just the major players or Fortune 500 companies.
Understood. So it's more for enterprises, and how can a small business use it, or possibly is there a way that they could possibly be benefit from it?
Yes. So as far as a small medium business, again, it depends on who you have employed. Are you willing to reach out to a vendor and whatnot? Because I mean, at the end of the day, a business is to make money. You have to get that return on investment. And as far as AI from a small medium business is concerned, that return on investment probably isn't going to happen immediately or even the next 6 to 8 months. Just because even if you might have an AI agent in place, you still have to train it. You still have to go through the paces of trying to keep it on task, changing its prompts, rewriting its core instructions over and over to finally get to a place where you feel comfortable to offload real life tasks to it.
And then when it comes to being ethical, what are some of the considerations should businesses keep in mind when deploying AI agents?
Another great question. And twofold. One, data privacy. Data privacy is such such a critical thing that all IT professionals really should strive to do. I know here in the United States, our data privacy laws are not as robust as say in Europe, but from an ethical standpoint, being transparent with your clients or your members or your employees, hey, we have this technology, this is how we're using it. Really being open and transparent about not only what it's for, why it's used, the policies in place on how to use it, and then putting in particular guardrails to ensure that if the AI agent or maybe different employees or staff might have a slightly different idea or off of the vision of what an agent is supposed to do, and then really tying them back. I'm like, hey, hold on, slow down. But really having strong policies in place, having that buy-in, and really just making sure that everyone's on board.
Understood. And then what advice would you give companies that are looking to implement AI solutions for their teams?
The biggest thing is case use. Every business has a different vision. They have different revenue streams. They have different industries. So anytime a company wants to think about an AI agent, really the first question is why? Why do we need this agent? Is this going to augment? What is that return on investment? How is deploying this new technology, potentially disruptive technology, into our current infrastructure? What does that look like? Are we comfortable with maybe stumbling? Maybe this won't be the best rollout in the world. So really understanding and being okay with that type of risk.
Understood. And is there a particular type of risk that could come from these this technology that you could
Yes,
think of?
data privacy is the first thing that comes to mind, but also an AI agent, unless it's fully trained and it's really an ongoing project, it can go off the rails. It can start hallucinating, and the last thing you want to do if you're trying to close a multi-million-dollar sale is to have your AI agent start talking about, oh, your competitor is so much better, X, Y, and Z, and you had no idea it was going to say that. That's where that inherent risk comes in. And then also the upfront cost, the infrastructure, getting people trained on how to use the system. And it kind of shifts from capital expense to operational expense.
And then when you say the cost that it takes, is there an example that you could provide us?
So there are some third-party platforms out there that you can do low code or no code. So that entry into that world is a little easier. There's not much money involved. Some of these are actually free platforms, so you can start poking around and really trying to wrap your head around it. As far as overall costs, Salesforce comes to mind, Agentforce. I won't bore you with the details, but I know their current pricing models is per instance or per use. So if you ask a question, that's cost. If you ask another question, that's an additional cost, and so on and so forth. So really being targeted on the utilization of the AI agent because those costs can go up fairly quickly if one is not careful.
So you would say it's kind of like a consultant.
Yes, in a way, it's kind of an in-house consultant that you can train to become better. But with that being said, everything doesn't just instantly improve. It's a working process. It's something you have to really kind of poke at a little bit every day and make it that much better for the following day.
Understood. And I know, kind of to change topics real quick, I know another topic that you said that you'd like to discuss is recruiting.
Yeah,
Could you tell us a little bit about what's the topic that you like to share with us a little bit about recruiting?
yeah, I'd love to. So the topic I want to talk about specifically when it comes to recruiting in the IT industry is a practice that I've seen really start to gain hold over the last few years, and that's resume farming or resume harvesting. What I mean by that, and I've gone through this personally over the years. I've had several of my friends that also work in the IT industry go through this. And resume farming is more or less, I think, of LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, Dice. If you go on there, if you're looking for an IT specific job, you'll come across all these different job recs, but they're rather general. There's no real specificity, just enough to have someone go, oh, okay, let me go ahead and throw my resume in and see what comes out of it. And resume farming, at least from my opinion, has been getting worse and worse and worse. And it feels like there's starting to be an issue with trust between people actively looking for jobs and then the recruiters themselves trying to fill those roles for third parties.
And like, what is the reason? Do you feel like there's a reason behind the issues that you're speaking upon?
And this seems to be more localized to this industry specific. I think of other friends or my own mentor who works in a different industry. They also deal with the recruiters, but that interaction is fairly different than what we go through as IT people, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Could you share some examples?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's been a couple of times in the past where I will be on LinkedIn and I will get a message. Oh, hey, I'm a recruiter for XYZ. We're looking for the XYZ. Do you have some time? Like, yeah, sure. So reach out. We'll have a conversation. We'll email back and forth a couple times. And sounds like everything seems to be going in the right direction. And then all of a sudden, cricket. Like they dropped off the face of the earth. You reach out, you try to follow up, you get nothing. And you're one can kind of get stuck in that cycle over and over and over again. Just off the top of my head, over the last 5, 6 years, I can think of at least 4 separate times, non-consecutive times, that has actually happened.
Understood. And I'm sorry to hear that. I
And
know
it is
life
what it is. It's
happens.
okay.
Yeah, life happens. I get it. And, what is your core role of being a recruiter in the IT industry and how has it evolved over the past decade?
So I'm not necessarily a recruiter per se. However, whenever we do have a job that's open for an IT tech or a field tech, I would be the one to actually reach out to these individuals, try to find qualified people. And I don't really use a recruiter. All of that is done on my own time. Well, not my own time, but I'm not going through a third party or looking for a hiring service or anything like that.
Got it. I get it. I've had companies reach out to me as well, and I can a lot of times find better. I get it. So, and when it comes to going back to resume farming, like, can you explain, like, you did talk about resume farming, but there may still be confusion of exactly what that means, and then also how it can impact the hiring process.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when it comes to resume farming, third-party staffing agencies that oftentimes, in order for them to get commission on sourcing that talent, they take a percentage off the top of that. So I would say, especially in the IT industry, I feel that recruiters deal with slightly different challenges than other industries. For example, as an IT professional, a lot of times we can have remote jobs. We don't necessarily have to physically be in the locale that that job is hiring for. But also because of that remote ability, the talent pool is much, much wider. So if there are skills that that company needs that isn't really easy to find locally, they can reach out to maybe other side of the country or maybe even another country altogether in order to fulfill that role. So I think it would be a little unfair to say that this is the reason uh, resume farming happens is from the recruiters. I think it's a mix of different factors that has kind of created this current culture of resume farming.
Gotcha. And then so because IT is remotely and you can, a business owner can hire, let's say someone from, I'm just going to say somewhere like China. Do you see issues with competition? Let's say somewhere in a different country, they're charging less. Like, how do you stand out when it comes to being an IT professional?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So anytime that there are remote workers outside the country, there's so many other things involved. Compliance issues, legality requirements, what does that work? And even outside of the actual legal constraints, what about the culture? What is that work culture like? How do people in other countries interact with one another? How do we, from being completely different cultures, how do we interact with one another? So that's a built-in challenge within itself. But really to try to stand out, I really feel is a matter of teamwork, being able to talk to anybody in all levels, top down, backwards, sideways, and being an effective communicator. Because I personally feel at the end of the day, if you teach someone how to build a VPN, they're going to be able to build a VPN. If you teach someone how to rack a server, they will be able to do that. But being able to teach effective communication, being able to play nice with others, for example, that's not necessarily something that you can really teach as a hard skill. It's really more of a soft skill. So I guess to answer your question, the best way to stand out in the crowd outside of your technical ability is your soft skill set. Do you have the soft skills to be able to work with whoever at when?
Gotcha. And I agree with everything that you had mentioned. And so, and we talk about remote work, and as that rise, do you feel like, I'm sorry, I'm going to change my question.
Are you okay?
What are some of the strategies recruiters can adopt to build genuine relationships with candidates rather than treating them as commodities?
Biggest thing is transparency. Honestly, there's been several times, and when it does happen, it's a nice change. So, for example, years ago, I was talking with a recruiter. Things seemed to be okay, and then I reached out, and they replied immediately, "Hey, sorry, this didn't work out." But the fact that they actually took the time to say, "Hey, sorry," that went a long way, which I feel should be more the norm and not the one-off.
Gotcha. I no, and I'm one of the people here at KB Communications that does interviews, and that barely
Mm-hmm.
ever happens. So I totally understand that, and
And
I think that
because, like,
some network issues.
oh, sorry.
No, I said there was a network issues for a second. So sorry about that. But go on
Oh,
with what you were saying.
and when it comes to hiring practices, right? And also I feel it's a shift in culture. It wasn't that long ago. No. Yeah, okay, I guess it was that long ago, maybe 3 or 4 decades ago, to where it was normal to go to school, sign on with a company, and then you're there until your pension and your watch. That was the standard thing. Well, that was just the standard fare. And that is truly not the case now. I feel when I hear the word pension, it's really only for government jobs. Pension is almost a four-letter word when it comes to, I guess, the general job market. But there's also that bit of relationship, I suppose, right? Like, if I were to sign on for a company, I wouldn't expect to be there for X amount of years. And I would want that company to be under the understanding of, oh, they're going to be here for the next amount of years. And this could just be maybe it's a Vegas thing because most of my IT work has been here in Las Vegas, but it's so transactional. It's what can you do for me now? And once you fill that role, great. Now what? And again, that might just be here in Las Vegas where it's transactional and it's really less about the relationship, but it's more about the tactics.
Gotcha. And I agree with that. I know things have changed, maybe from our parents or grandparents.
Uh-huh.
They probably stayed at a job for 35, 40 years. And here, you're lucky if someone stays for a couple of years, which I know that's something that's changed over the last just probably, maybe 15 years,
Oh,
which is
definitely.
crazy to think that. And then, with technology, with AI, automation, there's so much different ways that the technology can literally go. But where do you see yourself with your career within the next few years?
So in the next few years, I'm not planning on changing careers anytime soon. I love technology. I love matching the technical aspect to a real world human problem. I really feel that's where I get the most satisfaction out of this role. Over the next 3 to 5 years, I would like for the company that I started along with my friend to really start taking off. And we want to get into that small, medium business space for AI just because we don't foresee that initial price point going down anytime soon. So really, I really want to have that technology accessible to others, to the normal person. You're starting to see that with, well, for example, Samsung yesterday just had their announcement of the new S25. They are building an AI outside of Google's Gemini. I believe they're calling it Galaxy AI. So as the
Hmm.
technology evolves, as it becomes more ubiquitous throughout the entire world, that price point should start dropping. But what about everyone else that wants to use that AI technology that can't afford it? Where do they reside in the world? And especially if we think about business as a whole, small and medium businesses often get shoved out by the large corporations. I can think of several instances where you would have a mom and pop grocery store that got shoved out by a Kroger or a Walmart or things of that nature. So really trying to keep the little guy in mind. Hey, just because you're a small medium business, yeah, your revenue streams might not be billions or even hundreds of millions of dollars, but that doesn't mean you're any less important to the overall economic health of our country.
Got
So
it.
whatever
And what
you
kind
can
of
do
came?
to help. Sorry.
Sorry. No, you're fine, so fine. I thought you were finished, and I do apologize.
I know you're fine. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. There's a little lag, so I think that's kind of what happened. So I do apologize about that. But all I was going to say was, you mentioned like the price, and then what came to mind is computers, because I know, computers back in the day when people really didn't have computers, like, you'd get a computer for like tens of thousands of dollars, and now you can get one for even a couple $100. So that's kind of what came to mind when you said that, just supply and demand kind of thing. Did
Cool.
you want to add?
So that initial price point, it's really R&D, right? So if I think about, okay, well here we can take an example. The Sony PlayStation, when it first came out, years and years and years and years ago, when I was a much younger person, that price point was rather high. But after a year, 2 years, 3 years, that price point goes down. The initial price is because the R&D really trying to get the supply chain up X, Y, and Z. Obviously, AI has no supply chain. It's not a tangible thing. I can't touch it with my hand. But there's still infrastructure that is involved. There's still research and development. There's still plants. There's still service and all that. So as time goes on, as the infrastructure builds, I think Project Stargate, which the current administration just announced yesterday, of reinvesting more infrastructure to AI. So as that infrastructure becomes more robust, more readily available for everyone, I definitely see pricing start to go down more and more and more. Really, in my head, the question is when can small business owners really take advantage of that?
Understood. And then when you say this, because everyone knows right now, like the big thing right now is ChatGPT. what are the different things that people may not currently have, to their touch? Because, a
Hmm.
lot of us, when we think of AI, we think of ChatGPT. But what
Hmm.
are the extra things that, a small business may not have accessible to them that they wouldn't get with like ChatGPT?
ChatGPT by itself, not so much, because it's just an LLM. Now, if it was like an AI agent that was coupled with ChatGPT, then that's really where you can start leveraging that technology to its full ability. Hopefully that made sense.
It did. And I just ask you because I know a lot of people, ChatGPT right now is huge. People are, I know it's ChatGPT has been out for years or AI has been out for years, but people are really starting to put their hands on the tool. And so that's why I kind of wanted to ask you that. It's like, what's when it becomes more available, like what are the changes that, people will see? But yeah. Yeah, no, that was pretty much my question. And then, just to learn a little bit more about you, I know you've got a business that you're starting with your friend, which is
Mhm.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Of course, if listeners are looking to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing, how can they do so?
So, quickest way to find me is LinkedIn, Ryan Chipchase or Chipchase, Blue Sky as well, or Chipchase, and then my company's website, we are known as Agentic Reply. So, www.agenticreply.com. We're working on a whole bunch of things right now. We're looking to diversify what we're currently doing, and we're incredibly excited for the future.
Awesome. And I will be sure to put that in the description. So thank you so much, Ryan. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Thank you for the time. Really just enjoy what you do. Don't let the minutia of tasks in your IT world or really in any industry. Don't get dragged down by the minutia and the details. Enjoy what you do. Find the joy, find the happiness in what you do for work. Because whatever you're feeling can potentially translate not only in your work quality, but also your relationships with your coworkers and all the other people around you. So try to try to find positivity in life and keep that habit.
Yeah, no, so important. And mindset is huge. But thank you so much, Ryan. Today, I really did enjoy it. And I did enjoy our conversation. And I look forward to more conversations in the future.
Yes, thank you so much for the time. I definitely appreciate you.
Of course.